Congratulations! After years of effort, you were able to convey this message. This word has traveled through the millennia to reach you because God has meticulously prepared all paths. Perhaps you are now dealing with financial challenges or other issues. This is not just a burden or a weakness. Rather, it is part of a divine plan to empower you. Nothing happens by chance. Consider your personal inadequacies not as defects, but as opportunities for a significant jump ahead. The voyage ahead is fraught with interruptions and uncertainty, but it follows a deliberate plan. Remember that the difficulties in your life are not coincidences. Finally, they are weaved possibilities that will awaken you to a higher purpose. When you're wondering why you're having trouble sleeping at night, remember that you're part of a process that God has planned for you. The difficulties you face during this time help you build inner toughness and pave the way for greater success. When your weaknesses are revealed, in your broken times, you recognize that God's plan is starting to alter you. You are receptive to turning to Him in the most genuine manner. This is a transitory time that prepares you for future responsibilities, parties, and missions. In the midst of sorrow, you find the boundaries of your tolerance and realize that everything is preparing you for a deeper faith and inner calm. Remember that these problems are not only transient, but also effective transformation instruments that will propel you to the next level. Be patient and believe in God's plan. Activate your energies by leaving a remark. The thorns on this route are supposed to wound you, revealing your inner strength and faith. True progress emerges from circumstances that test our limitations. The most powerful force that feeds faith is bravery that flourishes in the face of impossibility. You may feel compelled to compare your path to that of others, who may seem to have it all. You may feel as if you are simply battling for survival, but understand that your path is a unique opportunity to develop your abilities and strength. When God delves deep into the soil of your soul, it does not mean the end. Rather, it represents the start of planting the seeds of fresh power. The majority of the most powerful tales in human history began with vulnerability and darkness. When you look about, you see individuals that seem to have nothing, are branded as failures, or are ignored by society. You are one of those who have risen to the top only because of their faith. During this incredible journey, you are provided with spiritual power at your weakest, most vulnerable times. As a pioneer, God favors the strength in your soul above material wealth. When facing financial difficulties, realize that these difficulties are establishing the groundwork for growing faith, resilience, and trust in your soul. Every adversity is a chance to become closer to God. Every fall is part of a bigger strategy. Each of these trials is a miraculous building piece that will equip you for a tremendous return in the future. God utilizes every adversity to fortify your spirit, boost your resilience, and awaken you to a higher purpose. You may have a restricted perspective right now, but in God's eyes, every difficulty is a chance to go on a journey much larger than you can fathom. Often, what you see as delays are really God's delicate touches. Preparing you for situations of rejection is often an indication of the divine plan's innermost workings. Connections are formed in dimensions that you cannot perceive, establishing the specifics of your destiny. You'll learn that the times you're having trouble understanding right now will eventually make sense. Patience is more than simply waiting. It is about believing in God's smart plan even when you can't see His route. So stop rushing time. Stop taking hasty actions. God is not delayed. Instead, He is preparing you step by step for an ideal plan. He wants not only to reward you, but also to develop you. Sometimes this maturity occurs during difficult times, in deep interior processes when every step develops significance and the lessons learned are precious. Let's discuss a tough matter: God's method of developing us. His discipline is not a punishment, but rather a reflection of His loving care, much like any well-produced artwork. God oversees the process of releasing our full potential. Think about it. Why would a creator let someone He cares about go through financial hardship? Because He knows your inner strength as well as your present challenges. He understands that without trials, you would be unable to carry out this calling. Every hour spent in financial hardship displays the strength of your character, deepens your faith. Your situation is more than simply financial. It is simply the process of developing your soul. God shows you how to achieve inner peace in the midst of life's tumult. To trust Him even when your strength is tried. He does not want to destroy you, but rather to construct a strong building. Instead of relying on outer appearances, He fosters a trust that will be imprinted in your heart. Remember that the most costly stones must go through the most rigorous treatments. This financial battle is similar to a stage touched by God's heavenly workmanship. Your flaws are changed one at a time. Bonds that are not built on trust are shattered, and all your uncertainties enter the purifying process. True strength is formed not by ease, but by character developed through adversity and strife. Discipline has never been simple, and it should not be, since it is required for genuinely understanding yourself and exceeding your boundaries. During this fight, your purity is shown. Every limiting notion from the past is cast aside, and you are empowered by discovering your true nature at your heart. You discover a powerful and unwavering spirit that surpasses earthly norms. As God leads you through the process, He is prepared to unveil your true power and potential with each trial. He gives you a greater faith and drive. Consider the lives of the numerous selected ones in the Bible. They were not provided a straightforward way. They had difficult hardships and experiences. God's love prepared them for a greater purpose. You are also following these roads when you confront difficulties and believe you are conquering life. Remember, this is not a punishment, but rather a preparation time. Every challenge serves as a chance to sharpen your attention and enhance your faith in God's plan. This process is not intended to remain forever, but rather to make the lessons learned here permanent. Therefore, accept this era and enjoy the maturing process. Remember that every adversity is there to propel you forward. God's hand is with you every step, a hand that protects, transforms, and compassionately guides you through every challenge. God's decisions are always beyond our comprehension. He addresses neither the powerful, the wealthy, nor the prominent. He refers to the forgotten, the lost, and those who seem inadequate because, in God's view, what counts is the sacrifice of the heart, not the person's attributes. His strength is strongest when you are at your weakest. When you let go of your possessions, you come to depend exclusively on Him. God desires empty hearts that may be filled with Him. He picks hearts shattered by disappointment and rebuilds them with His compassion. Financial challenges provide a chance to dig deep inside ourselves and understand the roots on which we rely. In these times, you may hear God's whisper, "I choose you because you turn to me completely when you are in need." His assistance is most noticeable when you rise again throughout the rebuilding phase. You're aware that the hands that hold you upright belong to Him. He touches people who are unable to stand on their own and need His power in order for His splendor to be realized. Consider this. Why did God choose Gideon, an average farmer, to command an army against numerically superior opponents? Why did He choose Esther, an average young lady, to be queen, who would preserve a country? Because God sees hidden power and bravery in what looks commonplace to us. His intentions are motivated not by worldly rank or fortune, but by a greater purpose and heavenly mission. The financial difficulties you encounter today have caused you to examine the illusory security on which you depend in your life. What are you really trusting? Your personal funds and control? God's ability to offer help in unexpected ways? This deeply embedded process teaches that religion is not an option, but rather the most essential support you have. These difficulties are more than simply a challenge for you. They provide a chance to enhance your religious foundations while also eliminating the transitory security on which you rely. God's hardships let you recognize what is genuinely unshakable in your life. By liberating your faith from material constraints, this isn't simply a transient issue. It is a process that strengthens your inner resilience and rebuilds you via profound surrender. Joseph, for example, remained to believe God even after his brothers sold him into slavery and went on to become a great leader in Egypt, sparing his family from starvation after years of adversity. God is laying the groundwork for something exceptional in your life. When this occurs, you will sincerely believe that it is a miracle. As a result, God calls those who must depend on His grace rather than those who can trust in themselves. For genuine strength arises as God molds you in His hands. If you feel incomplete or inadequate, accept your current condition. If you are suffering financial challenges, praise God because you are on the precise road He wants you to go. Beyond your personal intentions lies a divine purpose. God has always delighted to perform amazing things with individuals that no one else saw as significant. For example, Joseph was a young guy who had been sold into slavery by his brothers and had nothing. God made him one of Egypt's most powerful men, opening the path for deliverance. However, the cornerstone of Joseph's success was his everlasting faith in God despite tough circumstances. God works to rewrite people's history, even in their worst circumstances, building testimony from their ashes as part of His purpose. Shortcomings and weaknesses form the seeds of success. These folks are living demonstrations of God's strength and faithfulness. You may feel inadequate or unfinished for a variety of reasons, including previous failures or a lack of resources, are keeping you back. Remember, God's viewpoint differs. He does not pick individuals who look to be powerful or self-sufficient, but those whose hearts are willing to submit to Him. God puts even the most ordinary individuals at the midst of remarkable tales, because, in these tales, the depth of their allegiance and belief in Him is what gives them power, not their worldly goods or abilities. When you feel like you're at your lowest point in life, that's when God begins His biggest work. You could believe you have no strength or hope left. However, it is exactly at this point that God may best demonstrate His tremendous mercy and strength. When you surrender all power to Him, God may profoundly transmit genuine serenity, love, and bravery. He wants to provide you. Think about it. Even at your worst times, you may sense God's presence. Not only do I provide assistance, but I also aim to change and strengthen you. God, as a guide who shows your potential, has the ability to carry you from low to high. When you believe you have nothing left to give, you are in the most appropriate and receptive position to accept what God has to offer, because this is the moment you decide to rely fully on Him. Remember that what is worthwhile isn't limited to the physical world. You're in the process of comprehending. The actual worth is an unshakable feeling of trust. Even on the verge of loss, such faith remains unaffected by devastating storms or the passage of time. It is a permanent growth in the roots of your spirit. The financial blow you are dealing with not only takes us away from depending exclusively on ourselves, but it also brings us to the most reliable source of support, divine direction. This struggle is more than simply about material possessions. It entails soul growth, mentality modification, and the cultivation of spiritual resilience in your most dire circumstances. A supernatural hand is always there to encourage you, demonstrating that God's grace triumphs above everything else. Allow change to form you, even if resources seem drained throughout the purifying process. Rather of rejecting the trip, accept it. Every difficulty that displays your inner strength and patience is a chance to progress along the road God has planned for you. Every struggle has been thoughtfully designed to strengthen your resilience and develop your faith. At the conclusion of this process, like a polished jewel, you will sparkle with inner light and understand the deep significance of the worth God has placed upon you. When you overcome obstacles, you will be stronger, wiser, and closer to your destiny on life's journey. With God's direction, this trip is more than simply a test. It is a purifying process that will bring you to your full potential. Consider the core of surrender, not merely letting go of your worries, but fully committing yourself to the almighty force that rules the whole universe. Surrendering in the face of financial difficulties becomes a show of profound faith, a subtle proclamation that your faith extends beyond your present circumstances. It entails letting go of the never-ending striving and anxiety, the constant quest and stress. Surrender entails acknowledging that God's purpose for you is greater than your own abilities. Being able to say, "My God, I accept your way. Even when debts pile up and finances are depleted, demonstrating faith when things are going well is simple. True faith, however, grows in times of scarcity. Here you see how firmly your religion is entrenched. You learn to trust not just what God has provided, but also His time. God's plan often challenges patience, and patience is defined not only by waiting, but also by the attitude with which you approach it. While waiting in current economic downturn, your actual struggle may not be with money balances, but with confronting concerns. Fear that uncertainty will never cease. Feeling ignored or unworthy. Fear is transformed into faith, and worry into calm and helplessness. Stuck in your limitations, you must rely on a much higher force. Consider how a seed begins to germinate deep in the dirt. Even when you can't see it, it quietly extends its roots, ready to develop. Similarly, God starts a process within you. This is not a transient situation, but rather a preparation for a permanent spiritual benefit. The period of shortage is utilized to strengthen your faith, even in the face of uncertainty. You are asked to let yourself go. Even in quiet times, God's wisdom surrounds you. Miracles are born in inner peace. When you sincerely believe the road is yours, God moves, converting your disappointments into something fresh. A tale is being written in your life about how you will declare God's marvels. Every adversity you face is a necessary part of the journey toward prosperity and blessing. Prepare to reach a level where you will see God's faithfulness and kindness. Do not give up on the road. Being here is not a coincidence, but rather an indication of being selected. You were picked to fulfill God's particular purposes right before the final triumph. Do not abandon this route. Remember, the enemy's biggest dread is not your battle. These trials will lead to your triumph. Nothing can take away the benefits and beauty that God has planned for you. Your independence is intended not just for yourself, but also to reflect God's glory to the world. The difficulties are a preparatory procedure for the steps you will take to God's glory. As a result, commit to this goal with all of your heart, soul, and faith. Trust in God's plan, His provisions, timing, and your place in the divine plan. As you go along your abundant journey, God's faithfulness and kindness will become more obvious to you. This path will help you become a stronger, smarter, and more brave soul. By following God's perfect timing, you are creating a tale in which His miracles operate inside you and in your life, sharing them with the world. This is not just a voyage. It is a narrative in which you will see God's splendor and declare His marvels. The bonds of economic suffering that have long bound you are about to be broken, and you are ready to become symbols of your liberation. Your financial difficulties are not the end. They are the gateway to a new adventure. Change is on its way, and the breakthrough you've been looking for may be closer than you realize. Remember that God's timeline differs from ours. He is planning a sequence of events that will bring you to freedom. When the time comes, the predicted delivery will be abrupt, unexpected, and obvious. Do not give up. Extended periods of waiting result in deeper grace. God's delay is not rejection, but rather divine preparation. People, places, and chances are gradually taking their positions. As heavenly portals open, God is prepared not just to supply your needs, but also to shower you with benefits that beyond your wildest aspirations. Challenging financial situations need not indicate defeat. They serve as the foundation for the manifestation of God's power in your life. This procedure is a canvas on which He will demonstrate His strength and the start of a climb that can only be accomplished via divine intervention. This ascent will not only benefit you, but will also be a source of hope for others around you. God's action will usher in a daybreak of abrupt and irresistible awareness. The ties that bind you and keep you trapped in fear are dissolving, and you are being readied for a transition that will permanently alter the course of your life. This journey is more than simply a battle. You have been selected to shine. With electricity, efficiency is not an issue. Rather, it is a sign that you will be elevated according to God's unique design. These terrible days will provide you with a chance to observe and impart hope, becoming a tale in which you declare God's marvels. Prepare to reach a new level in your abundance path. one in which you will attest to God's faithfulness. Do not give up because you have been picked. Do not abandon your route shortly before the win. The enemy's biggest dread is not your suffering. Your triumph will come from inside. Nothing can take away the gifts that God has reserved for you. Your independence is not only for yourself, but also to spread God's glory across the globe. The difficulties are a preparation for the steps you will take to God's glory. Accept this mission wholeheartedly. Believe with all of your heart, soul, and bravery in God's plan. And travel this route by believing in His plan, His time, and your new purpose. I am waiting for you. Every hardship, cry, and prayer has a reason. God's constancy and kindness will become clearer to you. This path will help you become a stronger, smarter, and more brave soul. By following God's perfect timing, you are creating a tale in which His miracles operate inside you and in your life, sharing them with the world. This is not just a voyage. It is a narrative in which you will see God's splendor and declare His marvels. The bonds of economic suffering that have long bound you are about to be broken, and you are ready to become symbols of your liberation. Your financial difficulties are not the end. They are the gateway to a new adventure. Change is on its way, and the breakthrough you've been looking for may be closer than you realize. Remember that God's timeline differs from ours. He is planning a sequence of events that will bring you to freedom. When the time comes, the predicted delivery will be abrupt, unexpected, and obvious. Do not give up. Extended periods of waiting result in deeper grace. God's delay is not rejection, but rather divine preparation. People, places, and chances are gradually taking their positions. As heavenly portals open, God is prepared not just to supply your needs, but also to shower you with benefits that beyond your wildest aspirations. Your difficulties along the way will serve as a witness to God. He is writing your tale, demonstrating that even in the deepest valleys, His light shines through your problems like seeds sown in faith, and in due time, they will blossom fruit beyond anything you could dream. Don't dwell on what you lack. Instead, look at the person who has nothing. This period of financial hardship is purifying you, strengthening your resilience, and pulling you closer to His provision. When breakthrough occurs, it will be clear that it was the result of God's intervention alone. Remember that He employs the weak to confuse the powerful and the humble to overthrow the haughty. You may feel unimportant right now, yet He sees you, understands your problems, and is preparing to pull you up at the right time. The world will look at your life and see proof of God's grace, faithfulness, and kindness. Trust that these challenges are developing you and preparing you for the mission He has set for you. Let go of fear. It only serves to distract you from the promises Christ has already made in your life. Continue pushing ahead, unwavering in their beliefs. Speak life to your circumstance. When you provide testimony to God's kindness, you are affirming that He is your supplier and sustainer. You will encourage others to believe, to hang on, to hope, and to realize that nothing is impossible with God. Every need will be supplied, every challenge surmounted, and every promise kept. You are not traveling this route alone. His Spirit dwells inside you, directing, elevating, and preparing you to reflect His splendor in all areas of your life. You may feel exhausted, but do not let it overtake your spirit. Every adversity you've endured has changed you, strengthened your resilience, and brought you closer to God. These obstacles do not indicate defeat. They are invitations to tap into His power even more thoroughly. Remember that He does not use the term equipped. He equips the cold. You are being purified in His fire, and each moment of suffering will eventually be replaced with a sense of purpose. What seemed unattainable would become a monument to His miraculous work in your life. You are being positioned to be a source of hope for others, to share God's love and faithfulness with others who are still seeking their own breakthrough. As you approach triumph, keep your heart free of doubts. God has given you dreams, and He is faithful to see them through to completion. Trust that you are precisely where you need to be, even if the trip seems lengthy and unclear. Each delay is wonderful, every difficulty and chance, and every disappointment, a portal to something bigger. His timing is impeccable, and his promises never fail. You were picked, not by coincidence, but via his deliberate purpose. Hold on to his word. Allow it to anchor your spirit and trust that he who started a good work in you will see it through.